Hi everyone, welcome to the latest edition of the Ecom Rundown. My name is Simon, I'm head of paid social here at Cat & Co. And today I'm hosting, and I wanted to introduce to you a very special guest we have today. Someone that comes from Meta, has been helping us very closely with new features, interesting knowledge, and basically where things are going with one of the most important platforms for us, and also unlocking a lot of value for us and our clients and brands that we work with by just facilitating things and solving problems. So to introduce you to the one and only Sahil Jhamb, who is our agency partner at Meta.
And we didn't make up this intro. The one and only was definitely. No, but thanks for having me, Simon. And so I've been at Meta 6 years next month. Previously, I was at Microsoft on their product marketing team, working across the products like the HoloLens. At Meta, I've been helping build the independent agency team, and primarily my portfolio has been working with disruptors such as yourselves to basically, challenge the big six and do some incredible things, leveraging our artificial intelligence and leaning into our diverse formats and our diverse placements that we have across our family of apps.
Yeah, and it really shows that you have a lot of experience, because it's really interesting when we have conversations about all these topics, and that's why we find it so interesting for you to be here, because we have lots of stuff to discuss. And we're not just going to talk about practicalities, we'll also talk about where things are going, and which I think Sahil is really good. A few days ago, we received some really exciting information about where things are going with Meta and where they want to invest more attention. And that leads to lots of ideas of like really what's happening, where we should be paying attention, where we should be investing more, and people should be interested in some of the things, like, for example, Reels being a big thing, or all the investment in AI that everyone has managed to see nowadays from Meta leading the way, and how it really applies to advertisers and brands. And of course, we have a bit of tracking, we have a bit of really what's going on in some of the other tech initiatives that Meta's doing and how it really applies to advertisers. Are you ready? I have lots of questions, and really excited to get your insights. So I guess let's start broadly. We have this document that you know about, and it's really meaty. There's lots of stuff. What is the most exciting things from your point of view? What are you really excited about the roadmap?
No, so you and I were discussing a few weeks ago our sort of roadmap for the rest of the year, so Meta's roadmap. And of course, things change, but the general theme is innovation and moving fast. I am astonished and impressed at the rate at which we are releasing new updates for advertisers and for users as well. And from that roadmap, it was almost paradoxical, because we're seeing in the industry this zeitgeist, or this belief that AI is going to take away a lot of the control. And from the way I see things are shaping up, I just think the type of control is evolving. Now, from that roadmap, we saw an increased emphasis on creative testing. We saw our continued commitment to Reels as the dominant format for at least the next half decade. And we saw a continued and bullish investment being put into our artificial intelligence, our AI. So I'm really excited. My agency should be excited. And what's really important is, Cat & Co, for example, have a pretty big role in helping bring clients on that journey as well.
Yeah, and I think we're really aligned on that, and it really excites me. Like, the things that we're excited about seem to be one of the main priorities for Meta, so that's why we're so interested. And I guess the first one is probably the biggest one, and one of the ones that applies the most to us as a paid media agency and for our clients is Reels. So for a really long time, I guess feeds has been the main thing. Stories kind of start changing the game a little bit with adapting to phones, and now Reels is big. So I guess how important Reels really is for the future. Like right now, Reels maybe is growing. Do you envision that being like the main placement that most of the money goes into, or how do you see it at the moment?
So in order to appreciate just why Reels is important, it's probably worth us setting the scene a little bit into how we got here. So there's two trends that have sort of coalesced at this particular point. We have our investment in artificial intelligence, which is our transition from the social graph, which is basically the content that you see being influenced by your friends and family, to us shifting more towards the discovery engine, which is us rebuilding our AI ad stack, our sort of user stack as well, to essentially show content in your feed that is from creators or from people from outside of your circle. Then keeping that social graph and combining these two different models together to not only help you discover more on our platform, but also keep you engaged on our platform as well. So that is the investments in the AI. Then we're talking about the social or the demographic trends and how these demographics basically consume content. And younger generations, the proliferation, I'm going to mess up that word, the proliferation of technology has lowered smartphone costs, lowered data costs, which has meant that video consumption has become abundant. Now, the younger demographic is increasingly consuming through video. Technology has made it more accessible, and consequently, short-form video has become the dominant communication medium, which makes sense when we think about it from a bird's eye point of view. We've transitioned from text to images and now to video. And when we look at it from Meta's perspective, really all of this is on a spectrum to the metaverse. We're just getting that one step deeper, that one step closer to, augmented reality, to mixed reality, and video plays a part in that journey as well. So these two trends coming together, AI, short form video, basically suggests to me that it is going to be a long-term commitment from us, because it's what the audiences want. The Gen Zs, the up-and-coming demographics, that is how they communicate. We need to meet them where they are, whilst ensuring that we are delivering them value that wants them to stay on our apps as well. So it's interesting because when we combine our investments in the discovery engine with promoting Reels as the medium of communication, we are seeing not only reach increase on our platform, but reach and engagement as well relative to our competitors. So much so that 3.2 billion Reels are shared daily. So what that suggests to me is not only are people discovering content on our platform, they are still engaging with their social graph and resharing and re-immersing themselves through their friends and family too. So it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, excellent. That's, I guess for us, Reels is really exciting because, as you're saying, things changed when social started, and then brands had to become much more casual in their communications. And now this is not just communication in terms of text and organic, but also in terms of everything in video and ads and how brands adapt. So do you have any recommendations of how brands that are struggling maybe to adapt to this new world of just blending into Reels, blending into how people want to receive things in social? Do you have any recommendations to how best to achieve that, or I guess any guidelines?
Yeah, so it's really interesting because now the formats and the requirements have changed. We're seeing a clear bifurcation between those clients and agencies that move fast and those that are still holding on to preconceptions of what works best across social. And this is platform agnostic, right? Short form video isn't a meta invention. It is thematic across the platforms. Now, what the fast movers do very well is they accept that Reels best practice is meta best practice. So what is that? It's 9:16 video, designing for sound on, making sure that you opt into automatic placements, but if not, at the very least, choosing 6+ placements. The way I look at this is it's essentially the minimum framework to ensure that you're playing to the algorithm's favor so that you are maximizing your chance of delivery. Now, delivery and action are two different things which we can come on to, but the best practices that I've shared just now, 9:16, sound on, opting into automatic placements. It is all to ensure that you can maximize delivery.
Yeah, makes sense. And I guess what we've seen with Reels is that, of course, as you're saying, it's part of the discovery engine. And in many cases, people that see Reels will be discovering things for the first time. So it really plays like a top of funnel element, a big potential in top of the funnel for discovery. So I guess, for example, catalog is, love it or hate it, catalog is a massive part of investment for many of our ecom clients. And it's very product focused, but it's also really good in some cases for people to discover products when they're already maybe in the market for something similar. Say you see a pair of sneakers that are similar, and then you discover a new brand. I guess, is there a plan for Reels to integrate with catalog completely, or do you find that that's maybe isolated to other placements like feeds or?
No, it's all linked. It's absolutely all linked. Now, what we're doing at Meta is we're actually integrating our video stack. So eventually you shouldn't have to differentiate between Reels on Facebook or some of our old video products. It's all going to come together. We will throw this content at you to see what you most reciprocate with, and we will build the products such as our catalog solutions to ensure that delivery of said product or said advertising solution will land on that feed where that user consumes a video. That also means that the catalog product needs to evolve. Now, as well as ensuring that carousel ads, which is already beginning to happen, sees delivery on the Reels format, which is something we're already seeing, we are also designing and encouraging advertisers to build and design their catalog content with Reels in mind. So coming back to that maxim, right? Reels best practice is Meta best practice. So we are releasing products such as product level video, whereby your catalogs can actually be videos. So a really terrible analogy I like to think about is, I mean, have you seen Harry Potter?
Yeah, the films, yeah.
Yeah. So do you see that newspaper and there's images moving inside the newspaper?
Yeah.
That's product level video. So just imagine you're on your feed and you see someone with a handbag and the handbag's rotating or someone showing off the handbag. It's an extra level of creativity within the catalog product itself. It's leveraging the Reels format, but it's also continuing to benefit from the AI that powers our catalog solution as well. Because like you said, I personally love catalog. I work with a lot of e-commerce clients and dynamic product ads, for example. It's great. Now, when you combine it with the fact that users are increasingly on Reels, you're combining the best of two worlds again to ensure that you can maximize delivery, but also maximize action as well.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I mean, the whole idea of catalog just kind of morphing into something that is a bit more relatable or more digestible in that format, as it's so kind of static and ecom, when you see it like those images.
I mean, I'm curious to know from your perspective, we are pushing product level video. We're allowing people to insert video into their catalog, but that also means there's going to be a structural change on the conversations that you have with clients to basically sell that in, encourage them to test it, because it's not as simple anymore as just taking pictures. It's going to be incredibly video heavy. So have you thought about how you would sell it in to your partners or how you would encourage them to bring them on this sort of video first journey?
Yeah, I think the main thing is whether we can help them to generate that content in the first place, like video. And that's where potentially AI tools will play a big role in the coming months or years, that maybe you can take an image and actually create a video out of it, or work with them to actually create that kind of stuff per product in a more realistic way, which of course is a big cost. So it's really about, like, some clients will be committed to that and they will think, okay, I'm really on board. And others will be like, okay, that's great, but there's a lot of work to do. So it's more about how we can slot in. If we can actually help them to facilitate that process, that logistical process of turning everything into video, or at least the main products, then that's something that's where we can really make a difference. So it really depends on the brand. Some brands will be very excited, will have the resource, and then we just have to say, hey, we want to do this. You just have to do this, they'll do it. In other cases, we need to take a bit of that load to explain them and maybe just make it easy for them. Yeah. But we've been talking a lot about that recently, and some clients where we feel like maybe the content is not as exciting when you just see it in a white background kind of thing, and like, how can we actually add video? And we're opening up some opportunities there for sure.
You're talking about the white background. This is reminding me of the AI sandbox. So I think that was in the roadmap as well, the work that we're doing with our Advantage Plus tools. So say you give us a piece of content which is just maybe a bag with a white background. We're currently testing the ability to generate the backgrounds and A/B test to see which one is most receptive.
I was actually going to ask you about that because I feel like that's such a limitation with catalog that is like, it's a bit boring. And there are some tools out there that do it, but it's very manual. You have to design it yourself. So I'm just waiting for, it's like I'll just build the tool, but I know that at some point Meta's probably going to say, "No, don't worry. That's you can just do it in the platform natively." I don't know.
Yeah, I'm in two minds about the role of the tools that we build. So I think the AI sandbox, Advantage Plus Creative, it is my opinion. It's like a minimal viable product. It is showing what is possible when you lean into our AI solutions, and it's pretty good. We can basically adapt the text that we show to your customers and experiment to see which text or which caption most resonates with your target demographic. We can play around with the creative. We can give cropping recommendations. All of this is coming from our AI sandbox incubator, where we are experimenting with new AI tools. Once we find that they have product market fit, we bake it into our Advantage Plus Creative suite. But that's showing what's possible. Now, my expectation for the partner and agency landscape is you look at that, you get inspired, and you build upon it. So you will obviously have your own take and your own opinion on how best to utilize creative. It might not be 100% AI adoption. It might be somewhere in between, maybe using our tools to give you inspiration. But then where the agency or partner would come in is giving that sort of finer touch, that human touch, to basically help differentiate in an incredibly sort of competitive advertising landscape.
Yeah, and I guess that's the part that like normally I would be more excited about when I hear about AI is like, what are the tools we're going to have to make things and work easier and to provide more value? But of course, there's a whole layer of AI that is less visible and is even more important. Like, for example, what's happening with the algorithm, what's happening with ASC, what's happening with the discovery engine. Can you explain a bit more about, like, I guess, how AI is really shaping everything? I mean, I've already touched on a few points there, but like, I guess beyond generative AI tools,
Yep.
what else is important?
So we can speak first from the advertiser perspective. And when we talk about the advertiser perspective, we've built a framework to basically say to our clients, if you want to maximize delivery on our platform, if you want to see lower CPAs, if you want to reach users in the demographic that you're most interested in, you firstly, you need to understand how the auction works. So there is this timeless model that we use to influence delivery. And I think that's, I think I should know this. It's user value, estimated bid rate, and I think it's like creativity. Don't quote me on that. I might need to double check. But those three basically interact with each other to determine where we show your ad and how much you pay for that ad. Because ultimately, if the user is not liking your product or not liking your creative, they're not going to engage, not going to convert. So you need to understand those three precepts. Now, once you have that nailed, we then talk to you about the Performance 5. So basically, the Performance 5 is this framework that is designed to encourage advertisers to maximize your placement liquidity, maximize your budget liquidity, ensure that you have conversions API baked in from the very beginning, ensure there's creative diversity and you focus on creative volume, and that you are leaning into our AI suite of products such as Advantage Plus Shopping. And this is all baked under that Performance 5 framework. And our belief is if you leverage that framework, if you hold to it, you will see the maximum gains that come through our sort of AI, basically our Meta family of apps, which is powered by Llama and all the work that we've done in the background.
Yeah, really exciting. And it's, of course, a very important part of us letting go as well and allowing, the algorithm to do a lot of the heavy lifting. And I guess another topic that we saw in the roadmap, and I guess we can just cover broadly because it's a heavier topic of tracking or measurement. One of the things that, we recently saw Google saying we don't want to deprecate cookies anymore. And I think that off the back of iOS 14 a few years ago led to a series of events that meant that third-party cookies were going to disappear.
Mm-hmm.
So Meta has, of course, been pushing Conversion API as the main thing, and with the view of potentially deprecating Pixel at one point, I guess. Is anything changing now that it seems the cookieless future is not something we'll ever say ever again, or at least in
never say never, right?
Yeah.
There's a wider conversation to be had here. Like, firstly, business as usual for Conversions API. In fact, in that product roadmap we were talking about, we've now doubled down on WhatsApp and Conversions API, so you can send data back and forth between your messaging solutions. So it is a strategic priority for us. But now the question is, why and how do we articulate that to the industry? And it's very simple. It wasn't just Google deprecating third-party cookies that influenced the focus to Conversions API. It was a increasingly complicated regulatory environment. It was the shift in where and how users consume content. And it was competitor actions. Then on top of that, you have Google making the decision to deprecate third-party cookies, which was in that mix, but there were so many wider macro forces influencing it. So if we take it one by one, the regulatory action, of course, there's only so much I can speak to here. But of course, that is evolving how users perceive privacy and data, and we have to be respectful of that too. Then the second thing is how users consume content, which in turn is influencing how data or which data sources become more important. And by this, I'm referring to the growth of video. Now, if constantly or if increasingly video is becoming the primary communication medium, it matters more the sort of data we can create for advertisers and for users off the back of it as well. So within video itself, you want to be able to understand how long is someone watching that video, who's in that video, which creators in that video, why do they resonate with that particular brand. These are all new data points that are being created. So you mentioned an interesting line a few moments ago about letting go. I would agree you're letting go of some historical components in maybe a 2018 advertising world, but you're pivoting more to focusing your time on new areas of growth, new areas of signal. So you're letting go in one area, but you're prioritizing time in more developing aspects of this marketing landscape. So with the increased focus on video, that does mean how we track and how we add value to users and advertisers is going to change. And yep, competitor actions. Apple iOS 14.5, that was also a reinforcement not only to the advertising ecosystem, but actually to our CEO, who was very adamant that we need to change how we work with these smartphone owners like Apple and Google. It's not fair that they can essentially gatekeep platforms and how we interact with their products. That spurned us to invest heavily in our AI. That spurned us heavily to invest in open source as a philosophy. That's why Llama, our new Llama model, has been groundbreaking. It's been on par with some of our competitors, but that's all driven by this open source philosophy, influenced by the fact that Apple and these other competitors have historically been gatekeepers of innovation. And I think that trend has influenced how we're thinking about AI and how we're thinking of engaging with our partners moving forward.
Yeah, it's good to have a kind of an opposite view of how you do things versus the other companies. And certainly very reassuring to know that CAPIs continue to be a priority, especially as it's taken some effort to like take clients there. It's a bit trickier to do it versus like Pixel, which is very simple, but it's also long-term much better and safer in terms of the data.
Absolutely. It's respecting the privacy of the user and the advertiser as well.
Perfect. So you also mentioned WhatsApp. So that was one that was heavily mentioned in the document.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it very interesting because when it comes to like, I guess, behavior in the UK, and of course, I'm just talking about the UK because I see other cases like, for example, I'm from Colombia. Everyone uses WhatsApp there to interact in between purchase. People just go to a website and buy. They need to have some sort of human interaction to get trust because trust is an issue. And that may happen in many other countries. I've heard from others, I think Lithuania from Don, our colleague, which messaging is also like this middle ground. So is this developed more for those countries to really push that forward? Or do you envision that maybe in the UK that could lead to a behavioral change in purchase?
I mean, before I give my point of view, you mentioned something which I would love to unpack a bit more. Like, trust is an issue. What does that mean in the context of WhatsApp?
It's kind of like people want to talk to a human and they want to have a reassurance of that the experience is tailored to them and is not like some kind of funnel that doesn't speak to them directly. Absolutely. So it's having that opportunity to really, okay, I have these questions, I need them answered, and kind of have that. Of course, a landing page can do that more or less, but I don't know, people just believe that having that very traditional, okay, I have my concerns and my doubts about this, I'm going to ask questions.
No, I agree. And same, I'm sure it's as evident in Colombia as it is in India, as it is in countries across South America. I speak from experience. So I'm British Indian myself. Last year I was backpacking across India and I was shocked and impressed to see how integrated WhatsApp was in society. My relatives, whenever they wanted to order something, they would have their grocer on WhatsApp. In fact, I'm sure Meta even partnered with Jio and Reliance out there to integrate catalog into WhatsApp, integrate UPI payments into WhatsApp. So payments, catalog, regular transactions, it is all done there. And my thesis is it's a great example of necessity being the mother of innovation. In those countries, entrepreneurialism is rife. It's incredible. There is this hunger to sort of start your own business, make a change, make an impact. And the most accessible way, whilst maintaining trust, is through WhatsApp. And I'm sure you've seen this yourself. The element of trust is increasingly evident on WhatsApp, but also knowing that there's someone on the other end whom you can trust and converse with as well. And then when you use it over a long term. So for example, the analogy I like to use here is the internet modem. In our markets in say the UK, us jumping to 5G is a big leap. But when I was backpacking across India, 5G was the norm. Smartphone usage was the norm. Here we went from these big desktop PCs to laptops to smartphones. In some of these countries around the world, they went straight to smartphones. So they had this opportunity to leapfrog these technological hurdles and embrace change and embrace these new innovative products. And I think the usage of WhatsApp is very similar. They essentially skipped that whole website experience, going straight towards end-to-end messaging. And that is the purest form of trust. They also benefited, well, I wouldn't say benefited. There was circumstances there too which influenced the usage of WhatsApp. So differing aspects of labor meant that it was also cheaper where you could have someone on the other end. Whereas here, hiring someone to purely look after WhatsApp messages That might be
Yeah.
a different obstacle. So then it comes to implementation and action in the UK. Right now, from an advertising perspective, we're focusing on click-to-messaging. We've released WhatsApp for Business API, which will allow business-to-business messaging at scale. Now, one big blocker, which I can envisage, is cultural usage, right? Like we've talked about, in different countries, WhatsApp and messaging is ingrained. It's part of the zeitgeist. What will happen is an increasing shift to messaging here in the UK and the US, absolutely. That will take time. It's influenced by demographics, by the increasing diverse nature of the UK, because as diverse communities build, their usage of products will also become more prevalent and evident. But then we talk about the advertiser experience as well. And I think what's going to be a key driver of this is artificial intelligence. So I don't think it's released in the UK yet, but something I've been playing around with is our Instagram AI Studio bots. And basically, we're able to enter some information about what we want this bot to be. Do we want it to be an adventurer that can give us advice on locations to go to? Do we want it to be a fashion expert, someone who can give me some advice on how to dress? For example, if I'm coming in for a podcast, what should I wear? I wish I had that advice today. And then once you sort of plug that information in, we generate a bot, we generate an icon for you, and you can begin that conversation. Where I see WhatsApp playing a role is if we bring those bots to WhatsApp so customers can have conversations, human conversations in natural language through WhatsApp with these bots at scale.
Is it actually going to have the celebs, kind of avatars involved? Because I saw a video about that.
So
like Snoop was like...
Snoop's there. It's there. It's already out. Yeah, you can converse with
Madness.
Mr. Beast, even though his name is completely different. Snoop Dogg is there. Yeah, they're all there. And it's all happening.
That's amazing.
And we've gone that step further where we're now saying, hey, build your own bot. But then when I saw it, I automatically was like, wow, a business can really project their tone of voice, project their brand through these bots, whilst maintaining that personal, that intimate conversation, that level of trust, as you alluded to at the start, with the end customer.
Yeah, unbelievable. Well, it's really reassuring to know that like if we have international customers and we are finding ways to better... We may take the UK model that is very much the traditional, go to the website, although Gen Z's probably now looking at different ways. And we can open up completely new ways of driving purchases by embracing WhatsApp and with the developments that are coming in terms of potentially allowing, other things to happen like purchases or facilitating that journey. Another thing that I didn't see in the roadmap that I'm really excited about personally is the whole world of VR and AR. So, of course, it's early days and potentially it's not like a business in the crosshairs. It's more like opening up the opportunity still. But I guess how far are we from a possibility of virtual real estate for advertisers, like that becoming like, okay, next step now is to start, allowing businesses to position themselves? Still very early days or many years?
Is this in terms of augmented reality?
Yeah, like say looking through through Ray-Ban glasses, for example, and being able to see, placements in the real world as you would in the past, like banners and stuff like that. At least that's something I'm making up in my mind as potential possibility of advertising. And the other one is in VR, which is the same thing. You have virtual worlds and you have real estate in the...
Yeah. So there's a whole spectrum here of mixed reality, right? We have, as I sort of touched upon, maybe it starts at video, it finishes at full level virtual reality. And then you have augmented reality, mixed reality, these sort of places in between. And the solutions that we as Meta right now offer at each stage will differ. So if we start from the beginning of the mixed reality spectrum, let's look at video. So in the video section, our product solution here is Reels. And in the augmented reality section, of course, advertisers can play around with our AR solutions on Instagram. Then we move on to the more sort of exciting and innovative bit, which is what you're probably alluding to, which is the mixed reality and VR virtual reality solutions. So here we're moving on to our Quest products, our Ray-Ban devices. So let's start with Ray-Ban, and we can talk about it from a user point of view, and we can talk about it from an advertiser point of view. The user can put on a Ray-Ban glasses today and experience capturing content, making phone calls, making WhatsApp phone calls, listening to audio. In the US, we released Meta AI and multimodality, which allows you to experience our Meta AI capabilities powered by Llama 3. And we're hoping that it will come to the UK soon. Again, it is just limited by regulation. So we're waiting for those conversations to continue. The content that you capture there, I've seen some advertisers be very creative and use that first person POV in their reels. So they then turn that into ads. And it's a really good idea from a user generated content point of view. We talk about creators being a great way to build authenticity. But there's something about first-person content creation, content capture, that brings you that extra layer deeper into someone's world when you capture it from their POV. That's why those 360 sort of cameras took off. And the closest we can get to that, whilst maintaining style and appeal amongst a younger demographic, is building them into the Ray-Ban glasses. So that's an application of how an advertiser could think about using Ray-Bans today. We come on to virtual reality, which is our Quest products. So we released Quest 3, which has mixed reality built in. Now, what's mixed reality? It allows you to, so say you and I are having a conversation, and next to you, I can see my digital dashboard. So when I was playing around with my Quest 3, I could have my computer open, and I can have another desktop and screen next to me. So maybe YouTube is there, Xbox Live Gaming is there, and it's in high fidelity. The quality is incredible. But then if I wanted to experience a virtual reality experience whereby my entire surroundings is dominated by a virtual world that has been created, I would simply hit my headset twice, and then it would take me to that fully immersive world. And at that point, I would be experiencing virtual reality. What can advertisers expect to do there in terms of ads? I mean, we were testing stuff in the past. I think right now we're focusing again on product market fit. We want to continuously add value to users who purchase the products. We're seeing great success in the gaming and fitness space. There was some research that came out recently that a Quest headset is actually great for working out. It is a fitness product. At the same time, it's a gaming product. And depending on the context, it's a healthcare product. So we want to find product market fits in these areas before we start thinking about ads. And I think that also comes nicely into Threads as well, right? We want it to reach, I think, 1 billion first, or we want to see high usage before we start injecting it with ads.
Yeah, it's one that I've been involved for a while. I had my Quest 2, and you see films or books, and they talk a lot about how it's going to be like in the 40s, new 40s, and potentially how things are going to look then. But of course, yeah, I think it's still a while in terms of people getting used to having things strapped to their heads. But with the glasses, I'm really excited because it just becomes much more seamless. It's just a product that everyone uses already.
I mean, I would love for the technology that we have in Quest 3 today to be condensed down into that sexy Ray-Ban look.
Exactly.
And I think we spoke about this at the event, right? When we as Meta talk to clients or agencies about partnership ads and we talk about working with a creator, I think our strategy with Ray-Ban is very analogous, because Ray-Ban at ExoLuxottica, they had a relationship and a reputation and trust amongst a demographic that would help mainstream or mainline our technology. So the pairing of our incredible technology with the brand appeal of Ray-Ban has made such an incredible product. And that's given us the assurity that not only is there a demand for having quality, technology on our faces, but people will buy it if it looks good. So that's not us having to get used to it. We as a company, we as an industry just have to innovate and build good products. And if it's good enough, if it looks good, you'll wear it, you'll use it, I'll use it.
Yeah, absolutely. Really keen to actually get my own. And what you're saying about first-person perspective for content, that's one of the parts I'm like, because I feel like some of my most successful reels or stories are usually like the ones that I just take my phone and I just act like it's my eyes. So that's one of the things I'm interested in. Last bit from here is Threads. So Threads is, also DMC in the roadmap, I guess, very new as well. And as you're saying, it's also like just early developers getting product market fit, as you say. Mm-hmm. We have seen a bit of a implosion of X, and it just gets worse and worse, in my opinion, at least. Do you see this as a big opportunity for Threads to potentially, start becoming something real and a possibility for advertisers as well?
It's already a big opportunity. Now, last month, we announced that we reached 200 million daily actives. This shows there is an appetite for something that isn't as inflammatory, that isn't going to make you feel bad after you've used it. And Adam Asori, he was very clear that we want you to enjoy your time on Threads. We don't want to get distracted by politics and that sort of inflammatory noise that you might see on other platforms. And we're focused again, right, really thematic on engagement as well as reach. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're spending time on our platform, we want you to want to be there. That's why we are pushing our short form video on Threads. We're making sure that our AI is recommending the right creators to you. We're bringing that same discovery engine philosophy over to Threads as well. So we ensure that the creators that you discover on our platform are worth your time, are worth engaging with. That's why we've invested in making sure the replies and the tools are worth using. That's why we've released our Threads API recently as well, to give advertisers, not even advertisers, because we don't have advertisers on there yet, to give developers the opportunity to do more, to engage at scale, whilst maintaining that sort of nice experience and nice feel that Threads is becoming known for.
Nice. It seems like the opportunity is there, really, because it does seem like the platform is replacing like for like, and then it does offer. I really appreciate that part about how you feel, because there's no reason why you should be going online and radicalizing yourself or feeling bad about what you see.
We're in a competitive environment. We want you to spend time on our platforms and we want you to come back. That's why we focus. It's one thing for us to completely rebuild our platform to become the discovery engine. We don't want to give up the social graph. That's our bread and butter. What made Facebook was the social graph, the ability to have these intimate relationships with your friends and family. What we're saying is we are going to bake in the discovery engine, increasingly show more AI generated content, but there's going to be a balance. And that balance is what leads to engagement and what leads to a good time. If we completely pivot to a discovery engine, we're just throwing content at you without any thought, that's not going to be a good use of your time. So we think about reach, but we also equally importantly think about engagement as well.
So I guess just to wrap up, it would be really useful to just hear, and I would love to go into more detail about specific areas and stuff that I'd like to see what you think about, ASC or about creative. But I guess generally, if you're going to leave today and you just want to give advice to advertisers on how to smash it in 2024 and beyond, well, beyond, I mean, 6 months or so, what would be the position from Matt or from you, if you prefer?
Yes. I mean, we've talked about this, I think, accidentally quite a bit on this podcast. It's Reels best practice. It's Meta best practice. We're moving towards a video first world. How can you advertisers get ready? How can you, as agencies, continue to brief in advertisers on the latest updates in the world of video? Think about partnering with creators, because creators have a dial on what matters, what's trending. They can give you quick feedback as well. I mean, one thing we didn't touch upon is probably two things. Yes, Reels best practice is Meta best practice, but I think advertisers need to have self-awareness on the stage of the journey that they are in as a business and be able to market according to their stage of development. Are they a startup? Are they a scale-up? Are they a fully fledged brand? Because my advice to a startup will differ to someone who's a very well-established brand. So if we look at a startup, they want to probably focus on finding product market fit, maximizing impressions, building that brand. So maybe a lot of the spend would skew towards conversions in the beginning. And then when they feel like they're starting to get a grasp of platforms, they'll move more towards becoming a scale up. This isn't, of course, reflected in spend. It's reflected in the size of the company, the scale of their products, how much they're selling. Then you'll start to see, okay, to avoid points of diminishing return, we probably need to invest in brand, because now we're entering a very competitive space and brand is going to be what helps us stand out. And it will also exhaust pressure that will come from constantly maximizing on your conversion objectives. Then you are a fully established brand. Great. What's your cross-border business strategy? What are you doing to take the best practices, your product market fit that you've developed in one market to break into new markets? Now, a really good thing to note here is in emerging economies, say India and the Middle East, Reels is doing incredibly well. And if you have that Reels best practice already baked in, and you have a good understanding of how the creator ecosystem works, then as an established brand, your cross-border strategy, your barrier to entry would be a lot lower, because you don't have to rebuild your creative strategy, because Reels is becoming universal. It's something everyone gets. That's
super useful, Sahil. Thank you very much. Well, it's been very helpful and enlightening to listen to some of your opinions and discuss these topics. Really interesting for me. I love talking about this stuff as well. So thanks a lot for everything. And I hope to see you soon again in the Ecom Rundown. So just stay tuned for the next episode. Next time, hopefully we have some new guests, or we'll be talking about some interesting things happening in the industry. Thank you a lot, guys.